I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
Welcome back, Outlaws. As you may or may not be aware, I've had a fun last couple of days. TLDR version, I hurt my back. Not particularly comfortable in any state, position, or posture, but luckily with the right cushioning and back support added to my comfy Dowix gaming chair, and I'm right at home to be able to continue making videos and providing quality streams for y'all. But let's get in the news. Let's have some good stuff. Surprise, surprise, y'all. Final Fantasy XIV is once again shining in a positive light, but this time in a kind of a weird way. See, as it turns out, the game is so popular that Square Enix actually had to stop selling it for a while. And this is to attempt to abate server congestion, which shows really no signs of improvement if you've been playing the game. As someone who's worked on a project that had organically evolved its server infrastructure based on community interest and client popularity, I completely understand their predicament, even though our numbers at SWG Legends may be pennies on the Franklin to them. That said, one of two things need to happen before they can really reopen the floodgates. They either need to purchase additional hardware to expand their existing data centers, particularly in the most congested sites, or await the honeymoon phase of the main scenario quest marathoners to die down before opening the vendors up one at a time. So yeah, it's pretty good news when a game is so popular that it actually has to cease sales for a while. And FF14's popularity continues to grow at an unprecedented rate. That's pretty damn impressive for a game whose original launch was a literal dumpster fire. It's good news for existing players, not so great news for those who are looking forward to buying the game and are now finding themselves waiting. Fear not though, because there's those of us who bought in walkers and continued subscribing who are also playing the waiting game. And game producer Yoshi P recognized this, fortunately, and he initially granted all of us a free 7-day extension on subscriptions, before adding another 7 days on top of it. So see, if you want to stay on top, this is how you treat your community. You develop a hell of a quality game, and you treat your customers like you actually value them. This studio absolutely nails it. Now for some serious business. It's no secret that the raging inferno that is the mass of outspoken ground floor game developers and studio employees around the nation is spreading like a wildfire. And it's for a good reason. For too long, companies like Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, and others have run frat boy cultures rife with harassment and abusive workplace vernacular virtually unfettered. We've talked about this many times before. But now, we unfortunately can add Bungie to the list.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Bungie, having run through partnerships with Apple, Microsoft, and even eventually Activision Blizzard before going solo on their own, are likely no strangers to such a culture as their aforementioned partners have themselves sullied their hands in frat filth. This is not to say Bungie is free of blame. Detailed in an IGN article written by Rebecca Valentine are reports spanning their entire history of game development of frat boy nonsense, women and minority women being overridden, spoken over, or flat out ignored. Absurd levels of crunch, including Destiny narrative team work hours reaching up to 100 hours a week, lasting all the way up into the launch of Destiny 2 and even a little bit beyond that, which might explain some of that title's launch woes. Now, I understand you just heard me probably talk about the IGN article that was very conveniently released around the launch of the 30th anniversary. I get that it sounds like it's a targeted article, but trust me when I say when you're doing investigative articles about stuff like this, it's months of work that's already 6 to 9 months outdated by the time you finally release it, edit it, and do all that kind of stuff. And I know people are quick to jump on IGN because they normally suck, but give Rebecca her credit. She actually did some thorough research on this. She actually did a pretty good job. The release timing is unfortunate, and that really, in my personal opinion, is not on the author, that's on the editor. So it's not all bad news though. So the biggest difference between Bungie and other companies mentioned above is that's one of the few, if not only, at least publicly, studios in the industry that's taking active steps to improve their workplace culture. It's not perfect, but they're taking the steps, and they're making a lot of progress along the way. It's pretty hard to accept performative outrage trying to cancel Bungie when their more recent history is a litany of outreach programs in support of everything from Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ+, to women in the workplace and the disabled. They even have gone as far as to remind us about the importance of mental health in their most recent TWAB. And one only needs to look on Bungie's website to realize that neither the studio execs nor Pete Parsons have their head in the sand like Bobby Kotick does. There was no axe to grind, no scapegoats to fire, no excuses to be made, and no reason to go on the defensive. They took immediate ownership and even admitted they still have a long ways to go. They proved that they are human beings not entirely corrupted by the corporate machine. This gives me hope that Bungie will continue to strive for practicing the inclusiveness that they preach within their programs. We can't ignore what once happened, but we also must give everyone worthy of redemption a chance to earn it. Speaking of which, let's now talk again about our favorite person, Bobby Kotick and his friends. Now this is a man whose head is definitely in the sand and is so far beyond redemption that I've actually heard he's the odds-on favorite to take over hell when he finally kicks the bucket. Sorry, Donald Trump. Speaking of which, have you ever heard of a guy named Brian Butolau? Or Bulato? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. He's a former Trump administration official who is now the chief admin officer at Activision Blizzard. Bulato sent 9,500 employees an email last Friday on the 10th of December, essentially warning them to consider the consequences of pushing ahead with efforts to unionize. Yikes. See, I'm sure, much like the Fran Townsend email, this one was probably actually written by Bobby Kotick again, and this fact will most likely emerge in the near future. But for now, it is in fact a former Trump official's name all over this thing. Come to think of it, it wouldn't surprise me if Bulato did actually write the thing, but it doesn't change the familiar company he prefers to keep. He went from partnering with one morally bereft fluff of a man to another. So when you consider what longtime and former Activision Blizzard employees have had to endure over these long years of harassment, abuse, and frat boy work culture, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, should be surprised that everyone has basically said enough is enough and are taking steps to unionize. This is happening all across America, and it will only continue to spread throughout all the industries, especially after warehouse workers in Kentucky were told they would be fired if they evacuated ahead of the tornado warning. See, this is the kind of corporate mindset that's being defended by stuffed shirts across the nation. And they wonder why they can't keep people employed or why short staffing continues to be a trending issue and not a temporary setback. But look, the news can't be all bum and glum. It's the holiday season, and I'm happy you Outlaws are still sticking around for it. Please let me know what you would like to see discussed for my final video of 2021, which I plan to release next week since I will be out of town during the week of New Year's. The next few streams will fall tonight, later tonight on Friday, Sunday, and conclude with the Saggy Slay handouts on the evening of the 23rd throughout multiple games. I hope to see you all there on Twitch for each event, as I have a lot of fun stuff planned for each one. Probably going to be some alcohol involved too, so count on that. Outlaws, thank you all for coming and watching. Love you as always, and I'll see you at the next one.